Hey guys, and welcome to Inktober day number 27. So first things first, I wanted to mention that I am running a sale over on my Etsy shop, and I have updated the shop with all of my Inktober pieces thus far. If you use the code Halloween, WOI, you can get 15% off purchases of $30 or more. So moving past that and moving more into today's illustration, I went a little bit of a different direction for this piece. It's not quite as Victorian as some of the ones I have done prior, but there are definitely similarities. Something I've always really enjoyed the aesthetics of and also just the experience of is magic, specifically card trick magic. I'm not quite as into the whole I'm gonna cut a person in half thing because it's a little less interesting to me. I kind of prefer the more small scale card tricks where your signed card appears in your pocket or something like that. The sleight of hand is very interesting to me. It gives me a chance to kind of relax from the logic of my brain and just enjoy people that are very good at what they do. So I did try to stretch myself as far as the pose was concerned in this piece, even though it wasn't a full body. I knew that I wanted to try a little bit of foreshortening in the right arm. And by right arm, I mean her right arm, not the arm on the right-hand side of the page. And I wanted it to appear as though it was a little closer to us than the other hand. And for the most part, I think I pulled this off. I'm still not very good at foreshortening. It's one of those things that I have hardcore avoided for long enough. And I made an attempt at doing some more foreshortening in yesterday's piece, and I plan to continue experimenting with less traditional poses in the future, even after Inktober is up. With this piece in particular, I think one of my favorite details is the stitching that I end up putting across her face, and it comes up her cheek, through her eye, and up underneath of her hat. And I'm not sure why I like it so much. For some reason, it kind of adds to the whole appeal of an older style. It reminds me of like a Frankenstein or something like that. And overall, I think this piece is one of the ones I've had the most fun with in a long time. Not that Inktober hasn't been fun, because I have been enjoying it, but there was just something about the composition and the way that the elements of this piece fit together that was very enjoyable to me. I think her face turned out extremely well. I like the way her hair looks and the way that it falls. I like the composition of the cards across the body. And overall, it was just a very enjoyable process for me. Some part of me thinks that this enjoyment came from the fact that I knew Inktober was almost over. Because we're so close to the end. We're in the home stretch, and I am pumped. I am kind of over my whole I almost quit thing, I think. I'm hoping that it doesn't come back to haunt me in the last 2 days or something. But for the most part, I've really been enjoying the past couple of days because I'm starting to explore things that I haven't explored before, and I'm pulling out parts of my personality that I maybe haven't shared as much. For example, the fact that I am a very big fan of sleight of hand and Victorian era things, the aesthetic of those things. Anyways, I wouldn't like to live in the Victorian period because that would not be so good for me. But as far as the general aesthetic of things goes, I am a big fan of older things. And as I've been mentioning in the past few videos, I really believe that Inktober has given me a jumping off point for the future. And I would like to expand on that a little bit because I've never really went as in depth into it as I would like. So basically what I mean by that is a lot of times when we're so caught up in our own work and we're not really pushing ourselves, we're just drawing the same things over and over again, like I had been doing before Inktober, where I was just doing a lot of portraits. Sometimes we don't know what we need to improve on. And when we're in that very small scale of looking at the fine details, we can't see the big picture. Now, since I've been pushing myself so much this month, and I've been attempting to try something at least a little bit different every day, I didn't quite achieve that so much near the beginning of the challenge, where you can see some of my old bad habits still starting to creep in. Because I've been pushing myself, I can see where I need to improve. I need to improve on things like foreshortening. I need to improve on doing full body poses, specifically ones with crouching in them. I need to improve on doing different shapes of faces. For a while, I was drawing very similar shapes in all of my faces, with all of their jawlines being very similar. And I'm not a fan of that. It's just a bad habit that I need to consciously make the decision to break. I don't know that I've learned anatomy to the extent that I would like to. Because if I had learned anatomy to the extent that I would like to, then drawing people of different body types would be easier. However, it's almost as if I've only learned the anatomy of a single body type, and then I don't know how to translate that to other body types, or I haven't tried to translate it. And I really need to get over that. I don't know that I will end up doing this within Inktober specifically, just because there are so few days left, and I have some ideas that I will pretty much use to wrap up the month, I believe. But 100% you will be seeing that from me in the future. And that's really what I mean by Inktober has been a jumping off point. Because I can look at my body of work that I've created this month, and I can be very specific about what I need to improve at. Whereas before Inktober had started, I didn't have this body of work, at least not to this massive extent, that I could look at and dissect and see where I needed to improve. So that's something I would really encourage you do if you have been participating in Inktober, or even if you haven't, if you've just been doodling in your sketchbook throughout the month. Try to look at the big picture. See what you do a lot of and see what you're good at, and then look specifically at the things that you aren't so good at. Maybe you don't even try to draw these things. Maybe you try to avoid them because they're hard. The things that are hard will get better with practice. And the fact that you're avoiding them or that you're having difficulty drawing them just points out the things that you need to practice. So I hope this video was helpful in some way. This is a topic that I'm incredibly passionate about, if you couldn't tell. The idea of constant and continuous improvement. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.